Well, since I've been gone for a while on my channel, it's time to get back into the swing of things. Yo, Jennings!
Sir?
Can you please start today's video for me?
Of course, sir.
Hey comrades.
Comrades?
So I've made videos in the past about capitalism, socialism, communism, and anarchism. But the ideology that seems to be on everybody's mind these days is fascism.
Fascism? Oh geez, I don't think I'm exactly equipped to respond to this video. At least not by myself anyway. Who would know a lot about fascism? I've got it! Jennings!
Sir.
I need you to find me the evilest, greediest, slimiest, most demonic capitalist scum you can find. I don't care if you have to reach into the depths of hell itself.
Already handled it, sir.
Oh, you did?
Of course, sir. In fact, he's been standing in the same room with you since this conversation began.
Oh. Featuring Hoodie Demon.
Hey comrades. So I've made videos in the past about capitalism, socialism, communism, and anarchism. But the ideology that seems to be on everybody's mind these days is fascism. With the rise of what can be considered neo-fascist parties in Europe.
You mean Antifa? The ones going around rioting, looting, smashing property, and censoring free speech?
And the rise of people like Donald Trump in America.
Ah, yes, people like Donald Trump, who wants government out of our personal lives. You know, the exact opposite of what fascists want.
I can be pretty certain that fascism is not on the rise. Like, most people like throwing out that word whenever they want to. Donald Trump isn't a fascist. He's many things, sure, but fascist isn't one that comes to mind.
Yeah, he shows mountains of respect to the Second Amendment and supports even the very idea of arming the citizens of a country to protect themselves from criminals or government. That is not something a fascist government would do, let alone a fascist dictator.
A lot of people are wondering if fascism is resurgent. So I think it's important that we take a look at the ideology and understand what it encompasses.
Why don't you do that inwardly with Nazism? Antifa's rise has been nearly identical to that of the Nazis. And have you seen all the modern parallels in the fall of Rome? Do you people have any regard for history at all?
So generally fascism has strong strains of nationalism, militarism, and authoritarianism. Their leaders will say that their country is in decline, and the only way to restore it is to take some drastic actions that they may not have taken in the past.
Like Stalin? Or Mao? Or Pol Pot? Or any other communist dictator that you think for some reason it was just totally different than the way your revolution will turn out because reasons and because not real communism? Seriously, that is a question I pose to all communists. Every single time communism has been implemented, all it brought was destruction, tyranny, and just general chaos. So to all Marxists, why do you think your revolution will turn out differently?
So they'll target certain minority groups and say that because we're helping these people, because we're allowing these people to have equal rights and opportunities, that it's somehow hurting the country.
I'm sorry, I would be paying more attention here, but I'm too focused on your eyes. They're so dilated, it's distracting. Did you eat a shit ton of shrooms before making this video, comrade? Is that why throughout this video it sounds like complete gibberish?
They don't need to actually say how that happens, or they don't need to back it up with fact, because when they rely on strong nationalism, it allows people to rely more on their gut than their mind, and they'll accept things that they may not have accepted in the past.
Like Antifa?
Part of that decline is often seen to be in the military. People who support fascists will believe that they're not as secure as they were in the past, and that the military isn't as large or as powerful as it used to be, and they'll want to reinvest in the military, they'll want to build it back up, and they'll want to re-elevate it to a level of national importance that they don't believe it holds right now.
Well, I have a question. How do you determine who is fascist? Because in your mind, we have to go with the idea that Trump is a fascist. So does that mean that the people who voted for him, are they fascists as well? Or no, wait, they just support fascism. Is that right?
These people don't necessarily believe that violence for political reasons is a bad thing. they might see some of it as justified.
I mean, the left has been guilty of that. So how is that only applicable to fascism? Like, honestly, most groups and people do that. It's not okay when they do that, but I'm just saying that isn't specific to fascism.
Fascism also has a strong strain of authoritarianism.
Literally everything you've just said is far more descriptive of Antifa and the rest of your comrades than it is to the Donald.
Right? I mean, fuck. A Marxist communist telling us about authoritarianism is just so fucking ironic.
So it's basically anti-democratic.
I hope you stretched before you reached that high.
Speaking of high... What?
Now, I always wondered why this room is so smoky. You know what? You go do that. I'll take the reins on this one.
It may take advantage of democratic structures to legitimize the fascist rule, but it's highly unlikely that democracy and fascism will coexist. If fascism takes power, then democracy will either disappear or it will be altered in such a way that it's more of a false democracy. It exists only for show.
What the actual fuck are you even talking about at this point? Hitler was a textbook fascist, and he had a 99% approval rating pre-World War II. Fake democracy, my demon ass.
An important thing to understand is that fascism isn't an economic system. It's a political ideology. So fascism and capitalism can and often do coexist.
This is the logical fallacy of affirming the consequent. It goes a little something like this. Fort Knox is owned by the rich. Bill Gates is rich. Therefore, Bill Gates owns Fort Knox. He's doing the exact same thing here. Capitalism is purely economic and not political. Fascism is purely political, so it can coexist with capitalism. Therefore, capitalism is just as bad as fascism, which is completely wrong, and anyone who thinks fascism is not an economic system needs to Google fascistic corporatism, often called the third way. It's the economic system that America currently has. Oh, and by the way, no, capitalism cannot coexist with fascism. A fascist government wants control over your life, whereas advocates for capitalism, from saps like me to the Austrian School of Economics, push for no government involvement in the free market. Hell, so many capitalists push for small government that even the dictionary of capitalism tacitly implies market anarchy, having defined it as a system where a country's industry and trade are controlled by private owners rather than by the state. But I've talked about this in my videos, so I won't get on my soapbox here.
Because of the authoritarianism inherent in it, fascism tends to consolidate power in a small number of people. So the elite that we see under the capitalist system are often the same people who would hold power under the fascist system.
Who have you often seen in charge of a capitalist system? Because one has never existed, so I'm anxious to know. And if you're referring to America, then the answer to that is the government. Fascist governments are power hungry, and corporations that have the power today got it from our government. So...
It's not always the case, but often that's the way it works, is the fascist leader will either be a member of that capitalist elite or will have very strong ties with them. So unlike what we would see under communism, where control of the economic system and the means of production would be transferred from that small capitalist elite to the state or to communities and workers in general.
No. Say it like it is. You mean unlike we would see in our communist utopia.
Under fascism, the elite retain control of the economic system, and they often then also control the government and politics directly.
What the fuck? Yeah, the government has direct control over policies and the economy. That's kind of how a government works. You do understand that under the system of fascistic corporatism, again, the economic system America currently has, the corporations only have their power because they bought it from the government. The government selling away its power to the highest bidder is not the fault of the free market. Corporations are the anti-capitalism. They're products of the state and demonstrate perfectly why the government should not be allowed in the free market, because it has and always will result in the government selling away its power to the highest bidder. No state intervention is a prerequisite for capitalism to even exist in the first place. So how can state intervention be the fault of capitalism?
So they can ensure that the policies of that government work in their favor. It doesn't challenge their ability to reap huge profits and to crack down on the rights of their workers.
Exactly. Government intervention in the free market cannot result in anything good. At least we agree on that.
The important economic component of fascism is that
I thought you just said a moment ago that it was purely political and not economic. Changing your own definitions of things when it suits your narrative, I see.
due to the nationalist sentiment, it often also promotes a degree of protectionism. So it would be completely anti-globalization, which is what we're seeing from many of the European far-right parties that have come up, and people like Donald Trump. They're against free trade deals, they're against free trade, and they want more production to be done in their countries instead of having so many things being imported from places like China or India or Bangladesh or wherever.
Whoa, whoa, whoa! Slow down there, comrade. Don't you know? Free trade is the very essence of that horrible, evil, fascistic, capitalist, sexist, racist, misogynistic, heteronormative, exploitive, white supremacist, patriarchal capitalism that you hate so much. Oh, and way to further seal yourself into your safe space. I'm sure the push for strict border controls in Europe has nothing to do with the fact that every single one of these dots represents a terrorist attack since the migrant crisis began. Oh, and notice Poland has none. Poland also has the strictest immigration laws in Europe. Draw your own conclusions.
But that doesn't challenge the power of the capitalist elite to control the economic system.
Oh my god, confirm this fucking moron thinks capitalism is the same thing as fascism. You know, APD, I'm starting to see why you called me.
Yep.
Essentially what this means is that after fascist leaders take power, the masses have no real economic or political power remaining, or even the illusion of it.
Exactly! And that is precisely why capitalism cannot coexist with fascism. Thanks for proving my point, comrade.
As some would say, they don't even under our current system.
They don't. Because America is not a capitalist society. It has capitalistic policies, but America is a textbook definition of fascistic corporatism. I feel like I've had to say this like 6 times already. It's because the state has an ulterior motive due to its being controlled by special interest groups, e.g. corporations.
Comrades, I hope you learned a little bit more about fascism, and I hope you agree that it would be a horrible thing if fascists take power yet again.
Yes, it would. Just like they did after literally every single communist revolution in history. But you're clearly too stupid to read, so I don't know why I'm surprised you don't know that.
Where we do see the rise of far-right politicians, we need to work together to combat those, and to show that the left can be a true alternative.
Yeah! Join Antifa! Fight fascism by acting like fascists!
Jesus, well, our comrade certainly droned on for a while, didn't he? Well, in any case, thank you so much, Hoodie Demon, for collabing with me. Check out his channel and subscribe when you guys get the chance. Links are in the description. Thanks to everyone for watching, and as always, we'll see you guys in our next video.